Hello, my name is Anna. I am from Poland and I am the part of the PPCR family since 2018. And I would like to present for you the topic of the research question selection. Why I go for such a basic things? I believe that the most important part of the work of the teachers or senior assistants are to speak easily about basic things, but to make our students interested in the topics. So I decided to choose something that I believe is basic. However, it is also probably the most important part of our course, to learn how to choose your research question. So there is no easy definition about the research question. On each lecture, our great Harvard professors will come and will discuss with you very important subjects. They will speak about the study design and how it is crucial, and about the influence of the choosing good design on your study. You will learn about randomization, about the selection of the population, and so on. And this all, of course, sum up to the important parts, and every of the lecture you will have and every things you will learn on these lectures will have influence on your work. However, for me, all that comes to one thing. What is your research question and how work to make the best research question as you can. So, aims of the research question. Research question needs to answer a specific gap. So, some unknown knowledge. No, that doesn't matter if it's a big or small, but also it can create new gaps. Just think about your learning process. Every time you learn something new, probably more questions appear, yes? New things you would like to know. You would like to go deeper. You would like to learn something more. So, good question, answer some piece of knowledge, but also opens new door for a better development. Also, it gets useful feedings and results. And don't focus on positive or negative results, because every result may be useful, will give you some important information about the things you are interested in. Also, the research question determine the rest of the steps of the study. On the PPCR course, you learn how important it is to choose your design, how it can influence on the whole study, how the population is important, how to calculate your sample size, what statistical analysis can be used, and when and why, and so on. This all needs to be addressed in your research question. You can ask yourself why it is important to choose a good research question. Why it is so important? Because, as we know, almost 90% of the trials fails. There are many reasons for that to happen. However, we should focus on things that can be preventable. So, why trials fail? Of course, we can speak about differences between animals, models, and humans. We can discuss about building on invalid early positive clinical data that couldn't be confirmed in the later phases. However, very important, like top reason for trial to fail, is a poor design selection. This is something that you can prevent, yes? This is something you can learn how not to make this mistake, especially nowadays when we have so much data. This is so hard for us to think about what is good, what is bad. We need to have professionals who are able to choose properly everything regarding the trial. Of course, trial can fail also because unexpected unblinding, because there were problems with recruitation. There were some things that couldn't be prevented. However, still, I believe we need to when we create our studies, we need to think about potential problems and try to prevent them. And to prevent some, it is good to be aware what may be your potential problem. So first of all, how large should be the gap for the research question? Shall we go for the large or small? Or what is better? I think that it doesn't matter if it is a small or big gap of knowledge. The important is if it fits your wall. Because if you think about the wall of knowledge, it can be built from a big blocks or a small blocks. And you need to know your wall. You need to you need to learn your wall. You need to do a research. You need to read about previous studies. You need to see findings related to your topics. And when you find your gap that should be addressed, you will know if it's better if it is a small gap or if it should be a big gap. Nevertheless, research question is to find this missing piece of your wall, this block or brick. And so, what are PICOT components? PICOT help us to make sure that in our research question we thought about everything that is important, that we have in our question answer to all of the most important parts. So that we thought about the population, because as you know, choosing your population may absolutely ruin your study, or it can help you to go with your study along. It is very important what is your intervention, what you are comparing it to. So control groups, outcomes. This is a very tricky part because sometimes, you know, we are going into this trap of wanting to know everything, like absolutely everything there is. We would like to know this and that, and our outcomes should show us this, and this is very, very difficult to make study this way. So when you are thinking about your research question, choose your outcome, and also choose wisely your time and your follow-up, because if you go for a long, you can see, of course, long-term effects, which is very, very important. However, sometimes if you would like the intervention to help other people faster, if you would like to have your data faster published, you need to have a shorter period of time on your trial. There are also FINER components who helps us to create a good research question. FINER stands for feasible. Study needs to be feasible. If you know you have rare population, you would probably need to go to multi-center, or if your sample size is big, yes. So feasibility of the study may be lower because it's easier to have a trial in one center. Your study should be interesting because if you want your other colleagues, other researchers to read your article, you need to interest them. It should be novel because there is no point of redo studies that have already been done. It should be ethical, and also it should be relevant. So now, primary versus secondary question. Next huge important thing while you are thinking about your study. There are many things that we would like to have answer for, but for primary, always go with the most interesting and important question. I know it is easy to say, not easy to do, because we want to have answers for everything. However, the thing that you have to keep in mind is that your primary questions will determine your sample size calculation. So you can still go for other secondary questions and you can still look for other answers. However, they may be not adequately powered. Subgroups may be with too small sample subjects, yes? So with primary questions, always go with the most important and most interesting thing, but remember that it should be feasible and concrete, and that the results can be generalized. And now, We started with saying that there is no easy definition of the research question, because there is no. However, I remember when I was a student, our great senior teaching assistant Thomas told us that in case of choosing your research question, the one thing you need to keep in mind that the good research question will lead you to the Nobel Prize. So, guys, all it takes to have a Nobel Prize is to prepare to ask a proper research question. Remember about it when you will be choosing your research question for our great group projects. So thank you so much for listening. And in case you have any further question, in case you would like to learn something more about PPCR and I can be any help, please just let me know. I am open to discuss with you any further possibilities. Thank you so much for listening.